Hello everyone, welcome to VMware Arena YouTube channel. If this is the first time you're watching video in this channel, please do subscribe to the channel to support us and also to get the latest updates about the many videos which I'm posting about VMware virtualization and other virtualization technologies. So in this video today I'm going to talk about what is virtual machine snapshot and what are the files which makes up the snapshot. So what is the concept of VMware snapshot? So how does like virtual machine handles the snapshot and what are all the important disk changes which happened at the virtual machine. So I'm going to talk about all these things with the whiteboard session and I will move towards a practical example. I will show lively when I create a snapshot, so what will be changed to the virtual machine folder and what are all the files will be changed and how the virtual machine, writing and behavior changes when we working with a snapshot. Let's get started. So basically VMware Snapshot is which helps us to preserve the state and data of virtual machine at a specific point of time. So snapshot includes the state or data including a disk memory and other devices such as network adapter and whatever the changes we made it to the disk. Okay, and other thing is snapshot are extremely useful, which simplifies the virtual machine operating system and maintenance tasks. So it helps us to preserve the current state of virtual machine. So it allows us to revert to the state of virtual machine prior to taking the snapshot. Okay, so here is an example. I have a virtual machine called VM1. So virtual machine is nothing but a group of files. So when we create a virtual machine, there are a lot of files will be getting created to the directory where virtual machine is stored. Some of them are like VMX, which is configuration file, and there will be other things like VMDK file and flat.vmdk files, right? So VMDK is nothing but virtual machine descriptor file, the disk descriptor file. So it will be having the reference to which is the actual disk, right? So what about the flat.vmdk? The flat.vmdk is the actual disk where your virtual machine write will be saved here. So if you see if you edit the virtual machine from one vSphere client, you see vmdk file, but if you browse towards the directory of your virtual machine, you will come to know the flat.vmdk, which is having the same size as your virtual machine disk size. Imagine this is a Windows machine, so Microsoft releases patches every month. So imagine I want to install on the last month patches, which is May 2020 patches on my Windows operating system to preserve the state. Okay, so in this case I want to preserve the state of virtual machine before I install these patches. Okay, so I mean, like if something has happened or it crashed my operating system, I should have something to a snapshot to revert back to the old state. So I'm creating a snapshot here. The snapshot I'm naming like a snapshot before patching. So I created a snapshot. So it has to snapshot has to preserve the state of virtual machines. So once I create the snapshot, so what will happen is, so inside the virtual machine directory, you can notice VM1 hyphen 0000 5 times 01 dot vmdk will get created, which is nothing but the descriptor file for your snapshot disk, which is nothing but a delta disk. So and also it will create a delta disk called VM1 hyphen 0000 1 hyphen delta dot vmdk will get created here. Okay, so basically your virtual machine will be pointed to the vmdk which is created, the snapshot vmdk vm1-000 dot descriptor file vmdk file, and all your virtual machine. So your virtual machine will be mapped with vmdk and vmdk will have a pointer to the delta disk. So all the writes which is coming to your virtual machine will be written to the delta disk. So it means, so whatever changes you are making it after you take the snapshot will be only written to the delta disk. So your old flat.vmdk, which is the parent disk, will only have a read only. So if you need a virtual machine needs some data which needs to be read from disk, it will happen, but all the writes will only happen to the delta disk. Okay, so by this what it happens is snapshot will preserve the state of the disk. So if I want to So whatever writes which is coming will only come to the delta, right? So if I want to revert back to the old state, so I can just select the snapshot and revert back, so it will go back to the state before I install the patching, okay, which is a mix of patches. So as I said, the read will only the flat.vmdk parent disk will only have a read. Imagine you want to take another snapshot. Okay, so after the ms installation like patches, I'm going to upgrade some of the software in my windows version. So I'm taking another snapshot. Let's name this a snapshot before upgrade. Okay, so I taken another snapshot. So what will happen to the existing file, right? So it will create another vmdk and another delta.vmdk inside the same virtual machine directory. So it will be named like vm1-00002.vmdk and same like vm1-0000 5 times 0 2 hyphen delta dot vmdk will get created for the second snapshot. So again your virtual machine writes will be redirected to the new delta disk, and the flat dot vmdk and first delta disk will become a read only. So all the writes will be going, the virtual machine will be mapped with vm the 0002 vmdk file. Okay, so if we want to go back to the old state, like after the patching, we can also revert using the snapshot which is we have taken snapshot before patching, or you want to go back to the old state before we install ms patching, we can revert back to the first snapshot which is snapshot before patching. Okay, so it gives the option us to roll back if something to the previous state which we have taken. So this is one of the example I taken screenshot. So you can see the VM name is red hat 1. So it will have a VMDK usually, and it will have a red dot 1 hyphen flat dot VMDK, which is the actual disk. You can see the size, which is equivalent to your disk size. So it creates an delta disk called hyphen delta dot VMDK, and snapshot like VMDK 0001 dot VMDK. It got created. There will be something called VMSD, which is a snapshot database file. So basically it preserves how many snapshot which we have. It will be reporting to your snapshot from your vCenter server GUI. Okay, so we understand how does write works. So let's talk about some of the concepts. Like when we create a snapshot, the state of disk will be preserved. Writes to the VMDK is not allowed. So system creates an additional VMDK file called delta disk for each VMDK disk in the data store and allows writing any changes to the delta disk. So delta disk represents a difference between a current state of virtual disk and state that exists at the time of previous snapshot, as we discussed, right? So delta disk, whatever the changes after the snapshot will only return to the delta disk. So if multiple snapshots are taken, so delta disk will be created for each of the VM disk. For every snapshot, it represents the difference between every snapshot. Okay, for each of the snapshot, so new delta disk will be created. What if your VM first version, so after vSphere 6.5, the delta there will be no more delta disk. They renamed it as VM1-0001-SE So delta disk is a older format. If you have a vSphere which is older than vSphere 6.5, you will see the delta file. Or if your VMware version is 6.0 or later, you will see only the SE spars, which is nothing but the delta disk. The SE spars will provide a more functionality to further reclaim the space reclamation. Okay, so once we delete the snapshot, the space will be quickly reclaimed in the SE spars disk. So that's why they introduced the SE spars disk in vSphere after vSphere 6.5 if your VMware version is 6 or later. Okay, so we talked about the concept earlier. Let's connect to the vCenter server and we'll see the real-time example. How does it work? So I have a Windows machine called win-vm02. So this is running on MDA 6802. As of now, I don't have any snapshots here. Okay, I don't have any snapshot here. Let me connect to the ESXi host to understand what is the virtual machine file which exists before we create the snapshot. So I logged into the ESXi host. Let's cd into the cd VM first volumes. and go to the data store where this particular virtual machine is stored. So this is stored in iSCSI data store. Let's cd to iSCSI data store, cd iSCSI data store -01, put ls. It lists all the virtual machine which is running inside the data store. So this will be cd win-vm-02. Okay. Yeah, let's ls. So let's clear this. Let's put a ls. Okay, let's understand. So this virtual machine will have is having one vmdk. Okay, so I have a vmdk file which is there. Yeah, you can see the size with like 663 kbs or something bytes. um, so we have a flat.vmdk which is 90 gig, which is equivalent to the size of my vmdk file. So let's go back to my virtual machine, expand the hard disk, we'll confirm it. So expand the hard disk, you can see that the your hard disk is mapped to win-vm02.vmdk, which is a descriptor file. So flat.vmdk is created for that particular disk. Okay. uh, so apart from that, you may see VMSD, which is snapshot database file. So as of now, I don't have any snapshot. So once we create a snapshot, it will have information. So if you read the VMDK, so basically VMDK file will have the what is the format, what kind of version it is. So it also have the pointer to the flat.vmdk file. So which where the actual my virtual machine disk will be going there. What is the disk UID? All the information will be written in the VMDK file. Okay. So this is a VMDK file which is mapped to the virtual machine. Okay, so we have a flat.vmdk which is there. So apart from that, there is not no disk, no files related to the file. Then, as I told, VMSD is nothing but a virtual machine snapshot data file. So basically, it provides the information about how many snapshots exist for the virtual machine, and it will be displayed in your vCenter server vSphere client. Okay, so let me take a snapshot. So I'm going to take a snapshot, right click, take a snapshot. So I'm not going to select the virtual machine memory snapshot. So memory snapshot will preserve the memory state of virtual machine. So it exactly revert to the state where it is virtual machine was running. It means like if it is powered on, it will powered on, it will revert it. Okay. So I have taken a snapshot. So let me ls it again. So here is the changes, right? Now I see there is a VMDK which is win-vm02-0001.snapshot VMDK, which is descriptor file got created VMDK, and I have a flat.vmdk. Since this is VMFirst version 6, so instead of delta, it created win-02-0001-sc sparse.vmdk. So basically all the writes will go to the sc-sparse.vm disk. So as per, so when we take a snapshot, your virtual machine will be pointed, your virtual machine writes will go to the sc-sparse disk. So sc-sparse disk, so the snapshot vmdk will have to point it to this virtual machine, so it will automatically point to the snapshot disk. So earlier it was pointed to win-vm02.vmdk. Now it is pointed to the snapshot disk. So whatever the writes which is coming to the virtual machine will be returned to this VM 0001.vmdk. Basically, if you read the VMDK, it will show what is the parent disk. It will show the parent disk details. So it shows, right, parent disk file name is win-vm02. Actual VMDK is the parent disk. It will also show pointer to the which is the actual data disk. We can see win-vm-000 SE sparse disk. So whatever the writes which is coming to the virtual machine will be written here, so it preserves the existing state before we make changes to this particular operating system. So if we want to roll back to the previous state, we were able to do it. What if we create an another snapshot, right? Let's take on another snapshot. Let's name this as snapshot before upgrade, as we discussed in the previous example. So I'm not including the memory snapshot. Let's exclude this, click on OK. So snapshot has been created. Let's go back to the ESXi. So before that, we'll validate the snapshot. Okay, I have a two snapshot, which is snapshot before Windows patching, and latest one is snapshot before upgrade. So let's put ls. Okay, so now I should have a VM. hyphen VM02-0002.vmdk and 0002.se disk. So this will be created for my second snapshot. So whatever the writes now coming to the virtual machine will be pointed to this one, will be directly written to this the second snapshot disk. So it preserves the state between the first snapshot and second snapshot, and the first snapshot preserves the state between the parent disk and the new snapshot. So if you want to go back to without patching, I can select it and revert back. So it will go to the previous state before we perform the software upgrade. So if you want to click on Windows patching and revert it, it will go to the parent state where we before we install the patch. Okay, we understand. When we create a snapshot, so delta disk get created and virtual machine is pointed to the delta disk, and the read and write has been given to the delta disk, and only the parent VMDK will be read only. So we understand how does the internal things works. So let's take some of the snapshot. Maybe we'll take two snapshots, one with a memory and one without a memory snapshot. Without memory snapshot, then we will revert that snapshot to understand how does the operating system behaves when we revert the snapshot. Okay, so basically we'll take one snapshot with memory and one without on memory. We'll revert the snapshot and we'll understand from the Windows operating system or any operating system perspective, so what does it changes, how does the snapshot preserves the state of virtual machines when we try to help. Okay, so this is a virtual machine called WinVM02. I just copied the two software installer, so maybe which is a VMware OVF tool, which helps us to convert VMware various formats of virtual machine OVA to OVF, virtual machine to OVF, all these things. So I'm going to install the OVF tool on this particular machine. Okay, so before I get installed, so I'm going to take a snapshot on this virtual machine called WinVM01. So I'll specify the snapshot name called before. Consider this is anything you get installed, right? For example, you are installing the patches as per our earlier example. Okay, so I will say snapshot before software install. Okay, so I have selected the option snapshot the virtual machine memory. So basically with this snapshot the memory state will also be captured and in the memory file. So when we revert the snapshot, it just reverts to the exact same state what is there in the virtual machine memory. Okay, so I have selected the option snapshot virtual machine memory. So basically, when we take a snapshot with virtual machine memory, so it may take the snapshot, the time to take the snapshot may be little longer than the normal snapshot. Okay, I click on OK. So I'll be moving forward to avoid the video length. Okay, so maybe I will show what is the completion time, how long it took to. Okay, so here it started basically if you have taken without memory snapshot, by this time the snapshot would have created, but it takes a little longer time because it have to capture the virtual machine memory state as well. Okay, so it's completed. So let's see the completion time. So it started at around 9:06 and completed around 9:08. So it took around 2 minutes to take the snapshot because it have to capture the memory state of that particular virtual machine. Let's validate whether the snapshot is created. Yes, so the snapshot is there. Snapshot before software install is there. So in the right side we can see the snapshot virtual machine memory. Yes, the size of the virtual machine is snapshot is around 10.94 GB, and it shows the created time and name of the snapshot. Okay, so I created the snapshot. So let me go back to the Windows operating system and we'll install this VMware OVF tool. Okay, so I posted on a dedicated video about how to use a VMware OVF tool to convert OVA to OVF images, or if you want to deploy, convert from OVF to OVA, or you want to export a virtual machine as a OVA template. All these things I have talked about that in the video. I'll just put it in the iCard. You can get the details about that particular video. Okay. So it takes the installation. So it started the installation. Yes, so as like any Windows installer, just click on next to install this. So basically, it updates operating system files, and it deploys the software related files and created folders, and this software get installed. These are all the changes we are making at the Windows operating system after we create the snapshot. Okay, so whatever the new writes, whichever the software we are getting installed, new writes of the snapshot will be pointed to our delta disk. So all the writes will be written to the delta disk once we created the snapshot. Okay, so the installation is complete. Okay, we have installed. Click on finish. So we'll install the another software as well, which is something called free FTPD, which helps us to create an FTP on your Windows server. I hope this installation will be quick. Yes, the installate. Okay, let's click finish. Let's refresh it. Yes, so I have a two software which get installed, VMware OVF tool and free FTPD. Okay, so this both the softwares got installed after we take a snapshot. So whatever the changes which was happened on this particular disk will be written to the delta disk. So let's revert the snapshot. Remember guys, this is a snapshot with memory. Okay, we have taken the memory snapshot. So I have selected the snapshot to revert to that particular snapshot. So I need to select. So this is, as I said, this is a snapshot with memory. So let's see how does the snapshot reversal work with memory snapshot. So we have to select that snapshot. Click on revert to. So it will revert your virtual machine to the previous state before we take the snapshot. Okay. So convert state of virtual machine will be last until it saved a snapshot. Revert to the snapshot. Yes. Click on OK. Click done. Let's open up, okay, the console. Maybe it would have disconnected. Let me open up the console again. As I said, when we revert the snapshot with memory snapshot option, so whatever running in the virtual machine memory before we take the snapshot, it reverts to the same state. It means it also preserves the power state of virtual machine. Okay, so here is the, I reverted the snapshot, but I don't see the two softwares which we have installed, which is VMware OVF tool and FTP, which is not there, but the virtual machine is still powered on state. Okay, so it just reverts the virtual machine to the same state, including the memory state when we take the memory snapshot. So as we understand, the memory snapshot may take a little longer time to create, and also the size it grows will be higher because it have to capture the memory contents of that virtual machine. Okay, so now we understand the memory snapshot, how to revert the memory snapshot, and how does the operating system behaves when we revert the snapshot which is taken with the memory. Okay, so let's go back and we'll delete this snapshot first. Click on OK, so it will get deleted. Yes, it's got deleted. Let's take on another snapshot without memory and we'll understand how does the reverse snapshot works. Okay, so it was same state. As of now, it's not installed with anything. So before installing the software, I'm taking the snapshot here. So this time let me specify the same name, I think snapshot before. So this time we will take a snapshot without a memory state. Okay, so we have to uncheck the snapshot virtual machine memory because by default it is enabled. Okay, just uncheck the option snapshot virtual machine memory. So it will not capture the memory state of virtual machine. It will only preserve the disk and other configuration like virtual machine configuration and VMX and other configuration, but it will not capture the operating system, whatever there in the memory contents. Okay. So the snapshot is very quick. It completed within few seconds. Okay. Within few seconds, it got completed because this is not the snapshot with memory. So it's a normal snapshot. So let's install the software. Okay, the software installation has been completed. Let's refresh it. Yes, the VMware OVF tool is installed. We have taken a snapshot before we install the OVF tool, which is without the memory. Let's revert the snapshot. Okay, go back to snapshot, manage snapshot. We can also select revert to latest snapshot to revert to the latest snapshot which we have taken it. Select the snapshot, click on revert, which is not memory snapshot. Okay, click on OK, click on done. Okay. So now we see the difference. Your virtual machine is powered off. Okay, because this is not the memory state. It will not capture the like your operating system state. Basically, it will only uh, preserves the disk state. Okay, so whatever changes it makes to the disk will be reverted back. So we have to go ahead and manually power on the virtual machine, so it preserves the same state as before. So as I said, it is powered off. I just powered on. Okay, so in when we take the snapshot with memory, for example, you open up a 10 different application, like you are working on some of the Excel sheet and you're writing some notes on the notepad, something like that. So you, if you take a memory snapshot and if you revert it, right, so it preserves the whatever there in the operating system memory as well. So when we revert the snapshot, the whatever the files which you are working on, it will be still open. It preserves the entire state, but it's not the case with the snapshot without memory. So most of the cases, the snapshot without memory is perfectly fine, because we need to roll back to the changes before whatever the changes we make on the operating system, right? We don't care about what is there. We really don't need to preserve the same status in the memory, because so we take a snapshot before making any of the changes only. It's not to preserve the state actually. Okay, so now the snapshot is reverted. So I don't have the snapshot, the software which I have installed it. So it went back to the same state before we take a snapshot, but this virtual machine was powered on. I have to power on it, right? So I hope this article help you to understand a detailed information about what is a VMware snapshot, what are the files involved when we take a snapshot, how does the snapshot behaves, and what are the delta disk, how does we create a snapshot with memory and without memory, how can we revert the snapshot, and how does the operating system behaves when we revert the snapshot with different snapshot options, such as with and without memory. I hope you got better information about VMware Snapshot. I hope this is informative for you. Please do subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you so much. Bye bye.